Well, good morning, my friends, and welcome to Faith United Church of Christ on this first Sunday in November. Hope you had a great Halloween. Hope it was a wonderful night, maybe a little more subdued this year than in years past, but I hope it was a good night nonetheless. Hey, let's journey together into this time of worship by beginning with a call to worship, and then one of our favorite hymns to sing on this All Saints, All Souls tandem couple of days here for all the saints right after this. But will you join me in our call to worship? We remember, O God, the beloved of history, who have blazed a trail of courage through time. We remember, O God, the tender touch of loved ones, the example of heroes, the healing words of comforters, the remarkable acts of fearless ones. We remember, O God, the gentle strength of grandfathers and grandmothers, the loyalty of friends, the kindness of strangers, the joy of children, the sacrifice of parents. We remember, O God, the love of Jesus, the blessing of his Spirit, the reminder of his words, the sharing of his suffering, and the glory of the new life that he embodies. We remember in every time and place all our loved ones that have gone before us, all who were saints to us, all whom we held as beloved, and all who live on in our hearts. Let us come together in this time with peace in our hearts, confident that our loved ones that have taken the journey that is death are all around us in this very moment. Let us remember the saints of our own lives. Will you please join me in singing for all the saints?
Your name, O
Wow. Well, that's a way to start off a Sunday service. Wow. Thank you, Michelle and Carolyn, for that beautiful rendition of such a classic and favorite, cherished hymn for so many, for all the saints. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome, my friends, to Faith United Church of Christ on this first Sunday, as I said, in November, All Saints, All Souls, as we know it here, the day after Halloween, which means the Christmas season's upon us. Can I say that yet? I don't know. But I have a feeling I'll hear some Christmas hymns today. Maybe in my world anyways. And don't we need them this year? We'll spend the next 2 months talking about that. But I think we need some Christmas this year of all years. But we'll get to that later. Welcome, all of you who are joining us for the first time, return visitors, everyone else that is online virtually with us this morning. We are delighted to have you here to celebrate this day, All Saints and All Souls. Just a quick note, if you are visiting with us, please contact our office, if you have not done so, at office@faithucc.org, and get on our newsletter list so we can keep you apprised of the many happenings that we have going on here. And even in these COVID times, we have a lot going on during the week. So do check that out, whether it be on Zoom or in person in small groups. We have a lot to offer here. So check out that newsletter and see what's going on. I just did want to say it is, we're going to celebrate All Saints today. We have a special video tribute. Many of you sent in photos. Thank you for that. But if you didn't have a chance to send in a photo, or even if you did, go ahead and just grab a candle today and light a candle in honor of a loved one. Light a couple candles and let that flame, that beautiful flicker, that gentle ember symbolize the presence of your loved ones this day. And also we will celebrate communion as a part of this service. So if you haven't done so yet, run to your fridge, run to your cupboard, and grab whatever looks good today to stand as that symbol of Jesus' radical love and his wide open table of hospitality for all people. So we'll do that more towards the end of the service. So you have plenty of time. Hey, a couple of quick announcements. Faith UCC Mass. If you have not gotten one, we have them here. We still have some to give away. We're just asking for a small donation that's going to go to help feed hungry people. As I said last week, you're spreading our brand with a beautiful, progressive, inclusive, vibrant, the vitality that we have here. You're helping feed the hungry, most importantly, through Dunedin Cares, through all the donations going there. And there was a third one, and I'm having a what was his name? Rick something. I'm having a moment. I can't remember the third one, but it'll come to me. It's just a great thing. Get your mass today. That's my point. We have more. Contact the office. We'll find a way to get it to you. We also have a meditation group starting. We love meditation here. We believe firmly in centering ourselves in the Spirit. This one is going to be led by Barbara Turner Delisle, and it will be on Zoom on Mondays at 1 p.m. Each Monday, 1 p.m., beginning tomorrow. Now, you can reach her if you just look on the newsletter. Her email and phone number is listed in the newsletter to go ahead and sign up so she can send you that Zoom link. And so go ahead and take a look there and contact her, and she can get you in on that. It looks really cool. It's called Metta Meditation, and she is a certified meditation instructor and a retired United Church of Christ minister. So lot to offer there, and she's really excited to get that going. So tomorrow on Zoom, 1 o'clock, contact Barbara Turner Delisle for more information on how you can attend that meditation group. This is a quick note, too. On November 22nd, I can't believe it's the end of the year, so we're talking like annual meetings and congregational meetings. My God. And that's we're going to have a meeting on the 22nd. This is to present a preliminary budget for 2021. It's also to vote on a slate of candidates for various leadership positions. We're going to put a big notice in from our moderator, Ivan Liss, in the newsletter this week, so do take a look at that, and that will have all the Zoom information as to how you can participate in this annual meeting online, which will be on the 22nd following our worship service. If you cannot participate on Zoom for whatever reason, we're going to have other ways to allow you to get involved. So we want to take these next 3 weeks to make sure everybody's voice can be heard in the process, especially as far as voting for candidates to fill these positions. We just want to make sure everybody has a chance and no one is left out. So we will find a way. If you would like to vote on this or to ask a question or something like that, you can always just call the church and get it and go that way. But watch for more information coming this week because it'll be more solidified in the newsletter. So mark the 22nd on your calendars following our worship service for our annual, I always mix it up, annual congregational meeting, whichever one it is. We'll have the next one in December. So we'll call it the congregational meeting on November 22nd. Mark your calendars and plan to join us. Hey, a couple of pastoral care concerns. We have a few here. Please hold Bob DeLay, husband of Becky DeLay, in your hearts and prayers. Bob tested positive with COVID-19 just the other day, so they're going to be hunkering down at their home and just for the next couple of weeks and just hoping to get over this. And it sounds like Bob has some mild symptoms, but just, hey, Bob, we're thinking about you. And Becky, we're thinking about you as you support and do puzzles and all that stuff and try and keep yourself COVID-free. Just get better soon, Bob. And know you got a community of love and support here that's thinking about you. So be well, my friend. Also hold Ken Miller. This is Marge and Don Miller's son in your hearts and prayers. He will be having surgery Tuesday to fix what is basically a detached lung. This is the second time that this has happened to him. They don't know why, so they're hoping to figure this out and hoping that this surgery on Tuesday can solve the problem once and for all, so Ken doesn't have to go through these scares every year. So it's quite a recovery. So hold Ken, Marge, Don, and their family in your hearts and prayers in this time. And also Rod Esslinger, we continue to hold you, my friend, on the death of your brother Mike just over a week and a half ago. Hope you're doing okay, your family. Just please pass on our love and just know that we're holding you in a spirit of prayer and hope in this time, this difficult time. Jan Heringsma, her mom Ruthie, she is now under care at hospice at Suncoast in Palm Harbor. Hold their family in your hearts. It sounds like death is imminent in this case for Ruthie, but she's being kept comfortable, and her family is able to come and go as much as they can. So that's a gift in these COVID times. So Jan, we're thinking about you and your family in this time. Mudge Murphy, who is our rising phoenix, as her daughter Whitney calls her. Mudge was in Morton Plan a week ago with some heart issues, a time of struggle, but like the phoenix rising, as Whitney said, she was released last week on Tuesday and is home. Continue prayers for Mudge and for Whitney in this time as Whitney supports her mom, such an awesome mom, great person, and just hoping for healing and strength for you, Mudge. So keep on going, okay? I know these services are important to you, so we're thinking about you today and hoping you get better. I just want to lift up a personal note. I had a friend, a good friend, Tom Major, his wife Carissa, and their daughter Marissa. I served at church. I traveled to Guatemala with Tom. It was a great friend. I went to seminary with Tom, and just his daughter Ella committed suicide, died due to depression last weekend. So it's a tough time. Ella had come out as transgendered in January, and just given the heat of everything going on, and just so much on her shoulders that she took her own life last weekend. So I just want to lift up the Major family, Tom, Chris, and Marissa. You're in my hearts, and know that you're in the hearts of this community here down in Florida. So God bless you all in this time. Hey, transition into some joys. I see some folks are also raising some concerns. Please do so on Facebook, so we can also include those as we hold prayers for folks. So that's a great way to spread your joys and your concerns. And I do have a couple of joys here. It is my wife and I's 20th anniversary on Tuesday. Wow, she lasted 20 years with me. I don't believe it. She put up with me for 20 years. So happy anniversary to Esperanza. And may it be 20, 40 more wonderful years of wedded bliss. And we'll celebrate well and hopefully get a big anniversary gift as far as the election goes. Wink, wink. We're hoping. Also, happy birthday to my sister-in-law, Lanciata, who celebrated her birthday this past Wednesday. And she celebrated an anniversary with her awesome husband, Rob Covey, on Thursday. So happy birthday, happy anniversary. And also Mark Hewitt and Bill Swisher are back in Florida with us after a long drive from Michigan. Welcome back, Mark and Bill, and to all of our friends that are coming back, coming to Florida from the north for the winter. Wish you safe travels. Someone asked me, with these COVID cases on the rise, I've been getting some calls from folks saying, "Hey, how do you feel?" Because we got out of there, because we have a governor that's a little more lax with things, and things can be a little more lax down here. And they asked, "How do you feel down there?" And I said, "You know what? Honestly, there's no other state I'd rather be in than Florida right now, because we can get outside, we can go to the beach, we can walk the trails, go for a bike ride, eat at a restaurant outdoors. There's so much to do down here you cannot do up north." So for anyone that's on the fence, just know that I would. This is the state. Strangely, and I think I'd say that during these times, this is the state I'd like to be in. So you'll be in a good place. But welcome, Mark and Bill, and to all who are traveling south to be with us in Florida. May you be safe on your journeys. A lot of announcements, a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be a crazy week. It really is. I'm going to try and, besides a few little things here and there, we're going to try and avoid. Okay, well, forget it. It's going to be a crazy week. It really is. We have an election that's divisive and hot right now. I mean, you just go out driving and you're seeing the flags and you're seeing the energy. So I hope you can find a way to center yourself today and tomorrow, and especially on Tuesday. Maybe get outside and enjoy our beautiful outdoors. Go to Honeymoon Island, take a walk on the beach. That's how I've been de-stressing these days, and it does wonders for the soul. It really does, especially in these times. So I wish you a blessed, peaceful week, and we'll see what it holds, and we'll regroup here next Sunday and talk about it. So, but find a way to find some peace this week. You're gonna need it. How about we start right now? I invite you just to take a few centering breaths and try and maybe let go of some of that anxiety that tends to swirl around us in these crazy times. Let's just enjoy a moment of breathing and a moment of centering together as we journey ever deeper into this All Saints, All Souls worship together.
Our reading for this All Saints, All Souls service comes from the prophet Isaiah, chapter 25, verses 1 through 10. Words of life and death, but also visions of new and transformed life. Hear these words from the ancient prophet spoken long, long ago. O Lord, you are my God. I will exalt you. I will praise your name, for you have done wonderful things, plans formed of old, faithful and sure. For you have made the city a heap, the fortified city a ruin. The palace of aliens is a city no more. It will never be rebuilt. Therefore, strong people will glorify you. Cities of ruthless nations will fear you, for you have been a refuge to the poor, a refuge to the needy in their distress, a shelter from the rainstorm and a shade from the heat. When the blast of the ruthless was like a winter rainstorm, the noise of aliens like heat in a dry place, you subdued the heat with the shade of clouds. The song of the ruthless was stilled. On this mountain, the Lord of hosts will make for all peoples a feast of rich food, a feast of well-aged wines, of rich food filled with marrow, of well-aged wines, stained clear, and God will destroy on this mountain the shroud that is cast over all peoples, the sheet that is spread over all nations. God will swallow up death forever, and will wipe away the tears from all faces, and the disgrace of the people he will take away from all the earth, for the Lord has spoken. It will be said on that day, Lo, this is our God, for whom we have waited, so we might experience wholeness. This is the Lord for whom we have waited. Let us be glad, rejoice, for the land of the God will rest on this mountain.
Well, thank you, Joanne, for that powerful reading. And I did forget to mention we have one more concern, and that is for Joanne, who just read our scripture text, and that is that she's going to be having surgery on Tuesday to hopefully correct some carpal tunnel that has an arthritis that has really kind of been hampering her lately. So, Joanne, we're with you on Tuesday. We're hoping that this is going to be a success and that you'll have a good quality of life back, and I bet you will after this. So lean on us as you need us as you recover, okay? And thanks for a great reading. So before delving into this, this sermon on death, let me ask you a lighthearted question. Did you have a great Halloween? I know it was different this year, but did you have a good Halloween? I hope so. Are there any creative costumes anyone dressed up as? I wonder if you're thinking in your mind that you went as last night. I'd be really curious to hear them. Share them on the screen if you did. Well, being the Halloween rube that I am, I spend weeks every year trying to come up with the most fun and creative costumes. I want to share a couple. I like to do this each year just to see what you all think. And usually we're in person we do this, so I had to be inventive today with my own laughter and booze. So we'll see how that goes. But I want to share a few. So try and picture these costumes with me if you can. My first idea was an obvious one. It was to dress up as a sloth and just move really, really slow and go as the year 2020. Gary, I'm not hearing any laughter. Okay, tough crowd. It's a tough crowd. You get it, though. I think you get it. It's just crawling. I could have said the election as well, just crawling along. My second idea, I think you're gonna like this one. My second idea was a tandem costume, where I would dress as President Trump. I have a second person dress as a COVID virus cell, and they'd walk behind me, and I'd just kind of ignore them. I think that's a little harsh. I think that last part was uncalled for. I don't know about getting out of town. Okay, being an equal opportunity ripper, I am. My third idea was to dress up as Joe Biden and just go around calling everyone by the wrong name. So we better get this. I know. I can hear your speakers from here. All right, see if you like these better. My fourth idea was just to borrow I was going to borrow a truck. I was going to fill the back with cases of beer, wine, and toilet paper and go as COVID supplies. What do you think of that one? You like that, huh? All right, that's what I thought. A little bit better. So these are the things I've been toying around with all year, and I spent all this time on it. But in the end, my youngest daughter won the day, Chloe, when she said, you know what I'm going to go as? She said, I'm going to put on flip-flops and orange shorts, a black T-shirt, and dye my hair gray and go as you. Meaning me. I'm not sure how to take that one, but thanks for the laugh. Thanks for the laughter tracks on the notes. I appreciate that. So I don't feel like I'm sitting here laughing all on my own. So Chloe won the day. She won Halloween 2020 by dressing up as me with my gray hair. So thank you. Thanks for indulging me. And let's see what Halloween 2021 holds. I already can't wait. All right, let's leave Halloween behind. We're moving on. At least today we're celebrating the original spirit, anyway, of what Halloween truly represents in its most basic form as we celebrate what we are calling kind of a hybrid All Saints, All Souls service, two celebrations that technically fall on two different days, today November 1st and tomorrow November 2nd. Now just to put it in perspective, All Saints Day, so a little history for you, was originally called All Hallows Day, hallows meaning saint or holy relic, and it was first celebrated, as far as we know, in the 8th century, a long time ago, as a day set aside to honor the martyrs and the saints, or even just honor holy relics like teeth and hair and things like that. I know, it's a little weird. So the evening before All Hallows Day, over time and with other cultural influences, emerged to be called All Hallows Eve, meaning simply the evening before All Saints. Now, if you've ever wondered where Halloween comes from, well, this is it in a kind of cliff note sort of way. All Hallows Eve then over time became Hallow Evening, eventually being combined into Halloween, the night before we honor the saints and the relics. And roughly the 10th century All Souls Day also began to emerge as a day, set aside to honor all of the dead and the faithful departed, not just the greats, the martyrs and official saints. Now, there were major festivals and feasts through the centuries of the Catholic Church, but they were ultimately shunned by the Reformers because of their rejection of purgatory and its necessity to pray for the souls of the dead. The celebrations of All Saints and All Souls were even banned. They were flat out banned in many countries. Given that Reformation reality, it's not surprising that even today, many Protestants, they don't have really much of an idea what these days mean. And I find that kind of sad because there's actually so much meaning in days set aside ritually to remember our beloved that have died, that have gone before us, celebrating their lives over and over again. We Western Protestants, when it comes to death, we just kind of go through the motions, go for the funeral, and then we move on, often finding it difficult to even mention our dead that have gone before us. We carry them within us quietly, silently all too often, rather than marking their deaths with a feast. Each year we kind of simply just tick off the years that go by. But it doesn't have to be that way. But we are products of the religious system that we were raised within. But let me tell you, our way is not the norm. Far from it. For instance, in parts of Mexico and Latin America, the celebration Los Días de los Muertos, working on my Spanish, the Day of the Dead, is a blending of the traditions brought by the conquistadors and the Incas, and characterized by, you see behind me, these intricately decorated altars and vigils and week-long gatherings at the graves of loved ones where people, they feast and they drink and they tell stories and they leave food and drink out for their deceased ancestors to partake of, even if only symbolically. It's really some kind of celebration. In fact, in Dunedin, there was a huge, big old Day of the Dead altar created by Casatina, Mexican Cantina, Mexican restaurant. I was there a few days ago. It's in that park right by the downtown area. And it's stunning. It's worth going out today. It looks like it's going to be a nice day. Go check it out if you're in the area, and you can see it's really colorful and it's really beautiful. But what a cool thing that is. How about Guatemala? I remember talking to Mayans, some indigenous Mayans, when I was in Guatemala last on a visit there, about their version of All Saints and All Souls, which is this, because I was struck by it. It's this giant kite festival you see behind me, where for 2 days on October 31st, yesterday into today, November 1st, huge colorful kites, some like 20 feet, look how big they are, 20 feet in diameter, are flown from sacred hills and combined with a wild celebration with food and music and dancing and thousands of kites in the air flying through the winds. I think that's pretty awesome. And these festivals don't just honor the dead only in November. In parts of Japan, for instance, in August, the celebration is held to honor the dead. It's called Oban, or Lantern Day, where floating lanterns are sent down the river to guide the spirits that have passed on in our journey. Or lastly, here in China, it's a ceremony called Qingming, otherwise known as Tomb Sweeping Day, which happens in April. And families gather at the graves of loved ones and ancestors, and they clean and they sweep the graves, and they lay out an array of ritual offerings, flowers, and foods. This celebration has been happening for over 2,500 years in mainland China. That's pretty amazing, and is one of only 7 official holidays on the Chinese calendar. My point is, there are many such festivals around the world and throughout various cultures, and they all involve eating and telling stories, and most importantly, remembering our loved ones that have died and their meaning in our lives. And here today, it is fitting that we do something similar as we remember our own saints, our beloved, that have gone before us, maybe by lighting a candle today to symbolize their presence in our lives. It's a beautiful day, and it's one that we need to make sure we continue to recognize each year, even as confusing as it is to many Protestants. Kind of like the kites. We're going to stay on that. So when reflecting on a day like All Saints, All Souls, and invoking our beloved saints that have gone before us, I am hard-pressed to find any more of a fitting text than the one that Joanne just read from us from Isaiah. It is, for lack of a better word, stunning in its imagery and its intimacy. It is stunning in its hope and a future free of grief. It is beautiful. I mean, think back to its metaphorical vision, the stability of the mountain imagery, or God is our refuge, a shelter in the storm, shade from the heat. Oh, who doesn't love that? How does that feel? God is busy in this text refreshing and restoring and preparing a feast with choice foods and well-aged wines that are strained clear. I promise I did not pick that text because of the wine imagery, really. In the most powerful of lines, we are told that God will swallow up death forever. And perhaps the most intimate interconnection with God and the entirety of really the Bible, the whole canon, God, we're invited to imagine, will wipe away the tears from all faces and offer restoration, joy, and peace. Now, this particular text from Isaiah, which by the way is a book that was edited and built over the course of several centuries. There really is no one person Isaiah. There's a bunch of Isaiahs. But it likely comes from the mid-8th century, roughly, this text, BCE, at a time when the northern kingdom, Judah, was threatened and attacked by the full force of the Assyrian Empire. It was a time of death and destruction for the Israelites, a time of exile and separation, a time of just great despair that it's hard for us to even imagine. Generations were lost. They were either murdered, killed in battle, or exiled into slavery and assimilated into this massive Assyrian Empire machine. This is a text, in other words, that is rooted in pain and rooted in loss. Yet this particular text it's not one of lament or loathing or fear as we might expect. It's not a text of horror or wonder where God is in the midst of the pain, as we so often hear. Instead, it's a text that imagines God as an intimate presence who restores, an intimate presence who the text says swallows death, in which death and mourning stand absolutely no chance. It's a unique text in that sense. One of the only in Hebrew scriptures that envisions such a thing as the conquering of death with such confidence. Now, many of you might know better the words from Paul, who borrows these words in 1 Corinthians, and in hymn-like fashion proclaims, "Death is swallowed up in victory. Death, where is your victory? Death, where is your sting?" And of course, you might also recognize the image of God wiping away our tears from the book of Revelation, which borrows it to imagine this new city, this new Jerusalem, where God will wipe away all tears, and where there will be no more death, and no more mourning and sadness. The world of the past will be gone. And we could have used those very rich texts for this service, but there's something meaningful about going back to explore the notion of this intimate mystery we name God in the midst of death that is free from early Christian interpretation and theology. This passage from Isaiah, after all, was written centuries before Paul interpreted it Christologically through this idea of the Christ, Jesus as the Christ. And sometimes I think we get stuck in councils and creeds and doctrines when it comes to envisioning what death and salvation, this thing we call salvation and new life in God might mean for us. I mean, it can be hard to go beyond the theological traditions that we were raised within that hold us prisoner, these paradigms. In these cases, usually with archaic visions of reward and punishment, right? Heaven and hell, salvation and damnation. Give me a break. Those things, folks, those things are all Christian theology, an interpretation of previous historical movements reinterpreted in the midst of great debates by powerful men. And if you know me by now, you know what I think of created ideas. They're loaded with the grime of the Middle Ages, and a little bit earlier and a little bit later, and tainted with the residue of councils and contexts long gone by. Well, it's time to renew them, or it's just time to let them go. And we'll do that over time. But for this day anyway, try to put the doctrines of theology that are stuck in you like a tape away and really enter into what the community of Isaiah is proclaiming. It's a breath of fresh air. It's a peace that is unprecedented. It takes the mystery and the misery of death that was born in chaos and fire, and it envelops it with a hope and confidence in the intimacy and love of an intimate presence that restores, recreates, and makes all things new. Now, texts and contexts like this are where truth is ultimately born, and certainly where it can be found. And the truth of Isaiah is that in God, even in death, we live. That in God, as Paul will attempt to sum up later, we truly do live and move and have our being, share our being. But that does not end on the deathbed for us or for our loved ones. This text celebrates life, both temporal life in the here and now, and a life that will come in the eternal now. It's beautiful. It's one we need to live. Then I know, at the same time, death has two sides. The one who has journeyed on deeper into the mystery of God, but also those that are left to pick up all the pieces. That's just a reality of life. I always find such meaning when thinking of loved ones that have died. In the words of Alfred Lord Tennyson, the great 19th century English poet, who upon the death of his dear friend and companion wrote in the midst of his mourning, "'Tis better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all." I told that whole story a couple of years ago. It's beautiful. "'Tis better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all." I think that line of Tennyson's, born in a time of intense mourning, fits really, really well here today for us as we conjure memories of our loved ones that have died. I find it actually a powerful reminder that love implies a deep risk. Love opens us to the reality and the pain of death and its sting. And I'm sorry, Paul, but death stings. Death stings. Every one of you that lit a candle for someone this morning in your home there, or wherever you are, or there's just holding someone in your heart. We all know that death stings. And to claim otherwise is to trivialize the power that death holds over us. But Isaiah reminds us that, and this was so true of the ancient world and needs to be reclaimed today, One of the few things from the ancient world we need to reclaim. That this thing that we call heaven and earth, metaphorical language in heaven, but that this thing we call heaven and earth, they're just not that far apart. The Celts called this idea thin places. The idea that the veil which separates heaven and earth is very thin. That heaven, or wholeness and unity, and God and earth, where we physically live our lives, sometimes are just a few feet apart. And at times they merge in our lives in really amazing ways around issues of life and death and mourning. I mean, do you ever sense a loved one, maybe that you're holding in your hearts? You ever sense them? Someone that's passed into the next realm, another realm, the other side, as my sister called it a couple years ago. Do you ever just feel their presence as though they are standing almost right next to you? Do you ever just feel in some mysterious sense a presence that you cannot rationally explain, but you are so familiar with as though it is a part of you and you sense it? I know I have. I know many of you have. I've heard the stories. I love those stories. Let me just say, as I firmly believe, when it comes to death and the death experience, we know nothing. We don't know anything. We know nothing. No creeds know anything. No councils know anything. We know nothing. All we know is that the moment we are born, we begin a slow, hopefully slow and long, journey toward the only fate that awaits us, a transition that we have named death. But I think when we get there, as many of our beloved have before us, and we cross that realm, what we will discover is that the veil, the thin place, is thinner and more translucent and undulating than we were ever allowed to imagine. We've been trained again, ingrained to imagine death as a test, a moment of judgment, a moment of fear, whether we have believed right or acted right, for God's sakes, or said the right creeds, or been born into the right religion with the right Savior. We've been brainwashed to believe, as in the words that really sprang the Reformation into being, there's a line that when a coin in the coffer rings, a soul from purgatory springs. As Johann Tetzel used to say, as he was selling indulgences, which drove one Martin Luther completely crazy, well, money buys you a better afterlife, in other words. That's what that's saying. We're still living with the hangover of fire and brimstone fundamentalism, medieval Catholicism, and its heavenly afterlife for only the select and the few who happen to believe that which the loudest are preaching at the time, or the prosperity gospel garbage today that says if you are blessed by God, you have money and wealth, and you will surely enjoy the same in heaven upon your death. But I mean, come on, let me say this. These things will all be flushed away, these ideas, and the angels of history is dangerous, like fear-based and insane concoctions of myth and fantasy, maybe for the purpose of control. And surely, again, my friends, I'm not saying that death is some stingless thing like Paul articulated. Far from it. Death is messy and gut-wrenching and laden with sadness for the living, for us, that have to pick up the pieces. But for our dead, and for our own deaths in some far-off time, all we know is that they took the journey ahead of us and will in some way, and this is what I believe with every fiber of my being, in some way, they will be there when we ourselves take that journey, ushering us into the beginning of life transformed. That I find to be nothing short of beautiful, hopeful, thin, and more true than any other doctrine of death religion has tried to imprison me within. I'll take that one any day. Today, amidst glowing candles and our beloved dead and this All Saints, All Souls, held firmly in our hearts, let us stand confident that we are surrounded by the saints of our lives wherever we are this day. Can you feel them? I wish you a blessed celebration of All Saints and All Souls today. Now let's enjoy a beautiful version of the song To Where You Were, famous Josh Groban song, beautiful, along with the photos that some of you sent to share of loved ones that you have loved and lost, but who live on in you and whose presence will never be farther than the beat of your own hearts. So light a candle still if you haven't. Or just imagine someone right next to you. And let's enjoy some beautiful music together. Amen.
Who can say for certain? Maybe you're still here. I feel you all around me, your memory so clear. Deep in the stillness, I can hear you speak. You're still an inspiration. Can it be that you are mine forever, love? And you are watching over me from up above. Fly me up to where you are beyond the distant star. I wish upon tonight to see you smile. If only for a while to know you're there. A breath away is not far to where you are. Are you gently sleeping here inside my dream? And isn't faith believing all power can't be seen? As my heart holds you just one beat away, I cherish all you gave me every day. 'Cause you are mine forever, love, watching me from up above. And I believe that angels breathe, and that love will live on and never leave. Fly me up to where you are beyond the distant star. I wish upon tonight to see you smile. If only for a while to know you're there. A breath away is not far to where you are. I know you're there. A breath away is not far to where you
I just want to say thank you to all who were able to send in photos, and Michael and Carolyn for putting that together, and Michelle for just your angelic voice. Thank you so much for adding so much to our service on this All Saints, All Souls Sunday with that beautiful, beautiful song. I have a feeling there were a lot of Kleenex out. One of you join me in a time of communion. I invite you to bring your elements, center, And just a reminder that all are welcome, whether we're in person or virtual, the virtual table or the in-person table or a combination of the two. All are always welcome at Faith UCC. For communion, doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what religion you practice, your politics, anything, doesn't matter. All are welcome. It's the way communion should be. It's the way Jesus would have it. Will you join me in our communion litany? As we gather together for a time of communion, a time of virtual hospitality, let us do so, remembering in this time that we come together from many places, differing in age, differing in race and orientation, religion, and yes, even more evident this election year, in politics as well. As we join one another around the wide and open virtual table, may we discover that our differences are not something we tolerate, but that our differences are indeed a blessing. With the more difference we bring, the more fully we experience the presence of the sacred in our midst. So wherever you are on this journey of life, you are welcome here. Here in this place, here in this community, here at this virtual table that is set for all, and where there's always room for one more. Everyone is welcome to join in our virtual feast, a feast of broken grains and grapes of the vine in remembrance of the one we follow, Jesus. Please join me. Let us enjoy this feast together, and in this way lift up a world of inclusion and care, where all people and all creation live with respect and dignity. In memory of Jesus, everyone present will share in this bread of new life, broken for us so that we might remember the life and love that he embodied in the world. Let us enjoy that bread, or whatever element you have that represents you, for you, Jesus' vision of inclusion. Let's enjoy it together. In this way, we lift up a world of generosity, where, as in the examples of Jesus, abundance overcomes scarcity, so let all have the bread they need for the day. In memory of Jesus, everyone present is invited to share in these fruits of promise, harvested for us, so that we may spread the challenge his life was to the ways of injustice in the world. Let's enjoy the grapes or the juice, the coffee or the wine, or whatever elements represent for you Jesus' vision of compassion. In this way, we lift up a world of sufficiency, where entrenched systems of privilege are challenged, wealth is re-envisioned. So all have enough, and all have the daily needs to thrive in this life. I wonder if you'll join me in a moment of prayer. With all of our concerns and joys that we hold, those we raised aloud, and those that we hold deep in the silence of our hearts and our very being, with the sustenance of inclusiveness filling us with the hope and love of Jesus' infinite table. Let us journey together into this time of prayer and stillness. Let's make just a moment of silent prayer together. As we journey back to the present moment, this beautiful eternal now, may we carry the warm glow of the memories of the saints of our lives that we have loved and lost, but whose love we carry with us at all times. And may a deep sense of peace sustain us this week amidst the craziness and anxiety of this election week, and which we seem to have been waiting for forever. May peace prevail. May love shine forth. And may divisions cease to take a toll. So for this nation, for the world around us, and the sisters and brothers we share it with, so many of whom are struggling, we pray, let us pray this day. And for those we know and love, those we hold from this community and in our circles of family and friends who are hurting in mind, in body and spirit, all those we lifted at the beginning of the service, and those that we hold in the silence of our hearts. Let us also pray this day. And may your presence, ever-present mystery that is closer than each breath we take, we name God. May your presence shine forth in all the lives of those who are hurting. And may your love inspire us to be pain bearers and loving support in all the hard times. Now, Jesus, a long time ago, in expressing his love of God, he asked us to pray a radical prayer about a kingdom of love and peace that was all around us, the will of love being done, and earth mimicking the wonder that he envisioned was heaven. And he prayed about bread and about the forgiveness of debts and about the ultimate glory of this mystery we name God that we have gathered virtually to bask in. Let's pray that prayer, that beautiful ancient prayer. We call it the Lord's Prayer. I invite you to choose your most cherished image. Jesus used Abba, used Father. You can use Creator, Mother. Please choose your own image. Please join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Creator, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory now and forever. Amen.
Won't you let me be your servant? Let me be as Christ to you. Pray that I may have the grace to let you be my servant too. We are pilgrims on a journey. We are travelers on the road. We are here to help each other go the mile and bear the load. I will hold the Christ light for you in the shadow of your fear. I will hold my hand out to you, speak the peace you long to hear. I will weep when you are weeping, when you laugh, I'll laugh with you. I will share your joy and sorrow till we've seen this journey through. When we sing to God in heaven, we shall find such harmony. Born of all we've known together, of Christ's love and agony. Won't you let me be your servant? Let me be as Christ to
Well, my friends, we come to that time in the service where I'd like to remind you that you can give to support the work of this church. We're in stewardship time. We're going to be building a preliminary budget for the year 2021 this week, starting this week, and presenting that again on the 22nd. It's just preliminary. So if you haven't had a chance to make a pledge, please do so and help support the work. We don't know what 2021 is. It's going to be an odd year. It's hard to even look past Tuesday. It's hard to look past this COVID season. All I know is there's going to be a lot of work that needs places like this that have an authentic vision of love and compassion for the world. So just know that your investment is investing in just that. Your pledge is investing in compassion and love and the opportunity for us to be a light in times of what have been a lot of darkness lately. So just know how needed and how meaningful your support of this church is. And I just want to say a special thank you to all who have been able to make a pledge so far. Those that have tried to make it work and maybe haven't been able to yet but are working on it. And again, if you need a pledge card, let me know and we'll get one to you. But please do consider investing in this work for 2021. And if you'd like to go ahead and just make an offering for today, you can go to our website, www.faithucc.org. You can choose Vanco or PayPal. Make a one-time offering. You can set up a recurring offertory gift, and however it works for you. We are here to serve you when it comes to giving. I want to laugh a little bit. Someone, Casey texted me, a great guy, Casey, said, "Was that a Pop-Tart that you used for communion?" No, Casey, it's not a Pop-Tart. This is a beautiful wafer, although a Pop-Tart would be pretty tasty. Although I had enough Halloween candy last night, so no more candy. I do want to share one quick story in closing before we sing our way out of here for peace, and I can't stick around today for a hospitality time. We got a conflict. So we will do that next week, and we'll have a lot to talk about. But I just want to say we've done a service like this every year, and there was one particular year that I'll never forget. There's a couple of them, but we had the service. Everybody lit candles. It was right after Bob Talenko passed away, so maybe 5 years ago, and we lit candles for people. We had pictures all around, and there was a candle that Bob's wife Helen had lit for her on the piano in the sanctuary here, and there were little tea lights and little globes. And I went around after the service, made sure all the candles were out. Another gentleman I remember went around, made sure all the candles were out. That's just some part of what he did every Sunday, but especially on this day when we have so many things lit. They were out. Every candle was out. I came back later. I went somewhere, might have gone for a walk on the beach, went out to lunch, can't remember. Went somewhere, came back about 2 hours, maybe 3 hours later, so later in the afternoon, and there was one candle burning. And it was in front of a picture, right in front of the picture of Bob Talenko, who had just passed away that year. Pretty amazing. I'll never forget it. The rational side of me says it was never out. The spiritual side of me says absolutely. It rekindled. It's the spirit of Bob. So I'm going with that one because I think that's pretty cool and really powerful. So great All Saints story for you. I hope you have a blessed day. I hope you have a peaceful week. Again, try and get to the beach. Try and go for a walk in the snow. Get to the woods. Just sit in front of a fire. Do something that can just, read a good book. Take your mind off of all the craziness. So I'll see you next Sunday if I don't see you before then. My door's always open here. My phone's always on. If things don't go the way you wanted and you need to talk or vent, just give me a call. I wish you all blessed election week. More than that, a blessed All Saints, All Souls. Peace be with you. Let's sing our way out of here for peace. Let there be peace on earth. Let it begin with us.